Hey guys, so today we're going to talk about Strathmere. It's a wedding venue located in North Gower, less than an hour from the city. I think it's like maybe 30 or 40 minutes from the city. Today we're going to get into it and talk about all the potential you have of having your wedding there. All right, so first things first, let's talk about the get ready. So usually every wedding I've shot there, they usually get ready they have like a couple suites in this one little building. It's really close to the garden house, and pretty much they have a few rooms there where brides will usually get ready. There's a bottom one that I've shot in, great lighting coming in, and then there's one that I've shot in, it's on the top floor, and that's been great as well. This is a good spot if you don't want to get ready like in the city, you can get ready in there. So the way they have Strathmere set up is they have like 3 different places that you can kind of have your wedding. So they have the lodge, they have the garden house, and then they have, what is the last one called? Oh my gosh. What is it called? The farmhouse. I knew that. So I actually haven't shot at the farmhouse, so I cannot give you a good perspective on that one, but I have shot at the garden house and the lodge. The farmhouse looks cool from the outside. You know, they have like an outdoor area where nice trees that kind of cover the ceremony space, and you have like a little outdoor ceremony there. And then your background is that building. It's like a brick building and it looks kind of rustic. You can see in this video right here. But that would be your backdrop. So I know that much. It's just the inside I'm not entirely sure about. But let's talk about the garden house and the lodge. The lodge is located in the middle of Strathmere. So you have the garden house, you have the lodge, and then you have the farmhouse. The lodge is pretty much right in the middle, and it's very accessible to everything. It's a restored farmhouse. If you're going for a more rustic wedding vibe, this is the one I would pick. Both venues have this feature where it's all laid out brick, slated brick, and then you could use that for that's usually where they would do the ceremony. They do the ceremony outdoor. So they usually do the ceremony there, and then at nighttime, if you decide to have your first dance in that same space, there's these awesome twinkle lights that kind of go in an X pattern. I find a lot of people retreat to this outside little area with the twinkle lights, and then the DJ just plays his music really loud. If you could find a way to get a second speaker kind of like outside, if it's not raining and you know it's not going to rain, I would do that, because I find a lot of people retreat outside to that little area. I'm not sure if it's because they want to be under the twinkle lights, but it's a vibe when you're outside and it's summer and the breeze is blowing, like, because you're like out kind of in the country, you're essentially dancing under the little twinkle lights. Inside the venue or the barn, you have the barn, the farmhouse. Off to the right of it, there's like this separate room. So it has this separate room if you're having like late night foods, or if you kind of want to decorate it, there's like this whole separate room where people can kind of congregate and hang out as well. Okay, next venue we're going to talk about is garden house. So the garden house is located on the far left. The inside of it still has like a wood touch to it, but it feels more modern. But the wood walls are kind of painted like an off-white, so it kind of feels more modern touch to it. I find it's more narrow than the lodge. The lodge feels more like a square. The garden house feels more like rectangular. The cool thing about the garden house I didn't see at the lodge is that if you're having an outdoor ceremony and it starts raining, they have a whole separate area has like a roof on top, so that in case it does start raining, you could have your ceremony outside, but you'll have a roof over there. I think you could still use this even if you were at the lodge. I'm not entirely sure how it works for the lodge. They also have the same brick with the twinkle lights, that whole setup. They have that just outside the garden house as well. You can do your first dance outside. I did that. When it came time to do dances and stuff, people were kind of outside hanging out under the twinkle lights, and I found all the dancing was going on outside there. So just something to think about. You can have dancing inside as well. That's where I think they expect it to happen, but I find a lot of people just end up going to the bar, getting a drink, and then I see them going outside. So the garden house has that separate room attachment I was talking about with the lodge. One time I shot a wedding, and they had a whole separate private ceremony just in this room. They did their first look in the room because it was raining, and then right after that they had their own little traditional private ceremony in there. So just wanted to point that out in case you needed like a separate space to do a separate traditional celebration or ceremony, anything like that. That separate room is great for that. I'm pretty sure you could probably use that room for late night eats as well. But yeah, just to give you options. A cool feature of the garden house is right outside where the dancing area was, off to the left, this big open green space, and I've done 2 portrait sessions there. I thought it was just a great space to have to do like creative things. The backdrop is nice, you have all this greenery, and you just have all this space to kind of play around and do what you want. And I thought this would also be a great spot if you wanted to do portraits with your family and stuff like that. So if you want to do big family photos, I think this is a great space to kind of do that. And honestly, it just looks great on camera. Even them just walking looks great on camera around this area. So about a 2-minute walk in front of the garden house, there's this other little garden. It looks completely different from the other garden near the lodge, and there's a couple trees, a little path, and here's some shots I got around there. This is a great little spot if you just want to kind of mix it up and do portraits somewhere else on the premises. This is a great spot as well too. So in between the lodge and where the bride gets ready, there's this little garden, and it has like this little wooden arch, and it has like this garden full of different flowers, different colors. It's really nice. And I would say it's a good place if you want to hang your dress, if you want to get shots of your details. And then also it's a great spot if you want to do your bridal party photos. And if you wanted to, you could do family photos here as well, if it kind of works. This is another spot where you can do portraits. That's amazing. Also, just behind that, there's like this open, it's not an open field, but it's like kind of like this open area. And then beyond that, it's just like for like acres, man. It's like field and bushes and brush and stuff like that. It makes a nice backdrop. If you want to do a first look around there, you could do that as well. A lot of these places I'm talking about, you could use for a first look as well, but just to kind of give you options and ideas. To the right of the bridal suite, there's this open green area. I feel like if you wanted to do a first look there, you could do it here if you need privacy and you don't want guests to find you or potentially see you. If you do your first look in the other spots I mentioned, I feel like depending on what time you do it, guests might see you. But if you time it perfectly, it's not gonna matter, but just throwing that out there. The one thing I hear about Strathmere, and I've heard from many brides, is they talk about how great the staff is and how great the food is. And I can kind of echo that. Everything moves very seamless at this venue. They know what they're doing. I would say if you're trying to decide on a venue that feels kind of homey, rustic, kind of just has more of a calm presence to it, I would definitely consider this venue. Anytime I do shoot a wedding there, I never feel like it's chaotic. Always runs really smooth, and I've never had any issues. Definitely go check Strathmere out. If you guys have any more questions for me, feel free to leave a comment below, and happy wedding planning.